Alright, it's my 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee with a 4.7 liter V8. I was doing a pre-trip inspection and I noticed that my upper radiator hose here looks like it's about to pop. It is very swollen, pregnant looking. That is not a good sign. That will leave you stranded on the side of the road if you try and take a trip, especially in hot weather. Go ahead and get that fixed, or fix it yourself, which I'm going to show you how to do. Okay, to change your upper radiator hose, now that it's cooled off, you can see that it's gone down in size a bit. Leave your radiator cap on and your reservoir cap on. Go down to the bottom side of the radiator on the left hand side. You'll see a little drain cock underneath there. There's a spot for a 3/8 inch hose to put on it. I don't happen to have a hose, so we're probably going to make a little bit of a mess. Get your bucket underneath there. Alright. Comes off pretty easily by hand, or at least it should. Just back it out slowly and it'll start leaking. As you can see, even if I did put a hose on there, nothing was coming out of that drain spout. Now you can let it drain out like this, and it'll take a while. Or you can just pull this plug completely out. Get ready to catch it. Oh, there it goes. Do not lose this. Okay, now that you got that draining down there, you can see that I still have the radiator cap on and the cap for the reservoir tank on. It's draining the reservoir tank right now. It was at full, and now that thing's almost empty, as you can see down there. So we're going to let it go ahead and do its thing before I open up the system. Alright, it went from tinkling to just squirting out fucking everywhere. Must have hit that pressure point there. I'm going to open up the top radiator cap. There we go. The radiator cap is open. All this flakes down there at the bottom is all the sediment and stuff that builds up inside your motor. You don't want to flush out. Okay, now that you got all the fluid out of your radiator, there's still going to be a bit left in the motor and in the heater core and stuff, so you have a choice here. Either just replace the hose and fill it up and bleed it and be back on the road, or flush the system. I'm going to show you how to flush the system. You could use a special tool to get these clamps off, or you could use a big pair of needle nose pliers or some channel locks. These are going to work just fine. Might be a pain in the ass, but it'll work. Squeeze it. Bring it into the hose, not this way. Let it go. Do this side. Go. Bring it down the hose like this. Perfect. Now just work the hose off. There we go. From this side, I have some fluid in there, careful. Now get your clamps off of here. Go. Really? Whatever. I don't care. Bam. Come on. Grab our new hose. Let's leave this one clamped. Okay, now that that you got this old hose off, let's go ahead and reuse it. It goes on like this. I'm going to put it on there backwards and have it drain down, because I'm going to stick a garden hose in this part of my radiator and flush out the whole motor, and it's going to come out down through here. So let's go ahead and put this back on backwards real quick. There we go. Now, to the underside of the vehicle. This is the bottom right side of the radiator where the lower radiator hose meets the thermostat housing to the motor. Let's go ahead and take this thermostat housing off. There's two 8mm bolts holding it on. Stop being a bitch. Okay, it was somewhat easier to get the top bolt off from the top side of the motor. There's one, there's two. Now, let's be careful. Get your drip pan underneath there because it's going to make a mess. Okay, now you just got to move the housing out of the way far enough to grab your thermostat. And remember which way this goes in. Once your thermostat is out, put your housing back together. I'm just going to put the bottom bolt back in. I'm not even going to fuss with the top bolt because I'm going to take it back apart here in a few minutes. Got to get it snug. Don't need to make it really tight. There we go. That's good enough for now. Okay, now that you got your thermostat out, let's go ahead and put the drain plug back in the bottom of the radiator. Okay, now that you got your bottom plug in the radiator here, go ahead and use the hose and fill it up real quick.
Instead of using dirty tap water from the hose, you can go ahead and use a few gallons of distilled water.
Alright, let's put the cap back on here. Let's start the motor up. There's two ways to flush out the system. You can turn the motor on with the heater on, high heat, full blast, and that'll flush out the heater core. On the other hand, if your motor is really contaminated, you're going to be flushing a ton of stuff into that heater core, which may block the heater core and is very, very expensive and difficult to fix. So that part's up to you whether or not you have your heater on full blast or off during this part. I'm going to have mine off. Now just keep an eye on your hose down here. Make sure you got a bucket underneath. Start feeding water in. Might want some safety glasses on this part. Okay, now I can see down here it's pouring out mainly clear water, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. Turn the motor off. Now let all this stuff drain back out. Yeah, wear safety glasses. Okay, now that you flushed your motor out, go ahead and drain the radiator and let's put the thermostat back in the thermostat housing. Okay, now that you're ready to put your thermostat back in, you'll see there's a little tab right there. You're going to want to match that up with the tab in the housing. Remember, it's going to have a bunch of water in here. your face. Oh, maybe not. Okay, I can feel with my finger that the tab goes this way. Kind of just stuff it in there, and let's get it back into here. Give it a jiggle so that way it kind of fits back into its home. These bolts back in here. This top one is easier to do at the top. Alright, that bottom one's on finger tight. I'm going to go put the top one on up top. So I put the top bolt and the bottom bolts on finger tight. Now I'm going to use a wrench, tighten them down all the way. You're only going to turn the wrench a few turns at a time, top and bottom, so that way it mounts up flush on there and doesn't come out crooked. You don't need to Armstrong these things on there, just got them on there pretty tight. Alright. Okay, now that the thermostat housing is all back together, let's go ahead and put this drain plug back in the bottom of the radiator. Okay, now I'm ready to remove this old hose completely. Let's go ahead and get this back off of here. There it goes. Discard the old hose. Let's put the new one on. Goes on like this. Set this clamp in place for right now. There we go. The other clamp.
To try and eliminate any of the kinks in the hose, put it on there without the clamps on there, get into position, and then clamp it together.
Watch your fingers, don't let that get caught on you. This seems to be twisted. See how it's got a kink in it? That's not good. Out of here. It's about as good as that's going to get. Go ahead and line this one up. As good as that's going to get. Okay, this housing is about this big, so you're going to want to put that clamp in it kind of out there in the center, which is about a finger length in there. And same for this side. Okay, now that you got your thermostat back together, your bottom drain plug and the radiator's on, and you got your new hose on there, we're going to go ahead and open up this bleeder valve right here. It's going to be a hex style 8 millimeter. All this buildup right here is from using tap water in the system. You're going to want to use distilled water to make your 50-50 mixture. Alright, instead of going to the Dodge dealership, instead of spending $23 or even this crazy ass list price to get some antifreeze, I went ahead and went over to Walmart and picked me up some Prestone at about $10.88 a gallon. It is a lot cheaper than even going to AutoZone at Walmart. AutoZone's about $15 to $17 for this concentrate stuff. So Walmart's the way to go. The 50-50 over Walmart was like less than $9. Because the stuff is concentrate, not 50-50, we're going to have to mix it with some distilled water. Easiest way is to get a gallon and pour half. Okay, that looks like about half to me, so I'm going to start pouring in my concentrate. go. Into the radiator. Your motor does not have to be running for this part. Just fill the radiator up, then start the motor. Alright, got 1 gallon. If your mixtures are right, you're going to run out of this bottle of antifreeze. Right there. I have just about this much left of antifreeze left at the bottom of this, so my mixture was pretty darn close. In warmer climates, you could actually go with more water than antifreeze.
Your radiator will start sipping water rather than drinking it when it starts getting full.
Alright, radiator is full. Okay, now that your radiator is full, you can see that the bleeder valve over here has got water coming out the top of it. That's good. Let's go ahead and put the cap on the radiator. Okay, put your cap on your radiator, leave the bleeder valve off for now, and let's go ahead, turn the heater on full blast, high heat, and turn the motor on. Let that run for about 5 minutes. You're going to want to let the motor run for about 5 minutes, and while it's running, keep an eye on that bleeder valve, and as soon as you start seeing bubbles come out of it, go ahead and shut the motor down and let it sit for about 5 minutes. Okay, the cap is on, the motor's running, let's fill this reservoir tank up. You're going to want to keep an eye on the fluid reservoir levels and keep an eye on the bleeder valve. As soon as you start seeing water come out of the bleeder valve, you've bled the system and you can shut the motor down and let it sit for about 5 minutes. Okay, now that you got bubbles up here and water at the top of your bleed valve, let's go ahead and shut the motor off and let it sit for about 5 minutes. Put your hand in front of the heater, you can feel that the heater is really warm. You know that the system is flowing. A lot of miles. Go ahead and set it down, shut it down, and let it sit for about 5 minutes. Put your bleeder screw back in here.
I recommend using an RTV style sealant on this to prevent any leaks or the bolt permanently rusting in there.
Alright, there we go. It's nice and tight. Make sure your cap's on there. Get your cap on here. Got good fluid in there. Let's go drive around for about a half an hour and keep an eye on your reservoir tank. You know, every about 15 minutes, stop, pop the hood, check a look at the tank. Tanks start getting low, add to it. Don't add to the cap, don't add to the bleeder valve. Add over here to your reservoir tank if it starts emptying out. You're all done.